Hi everybody, this is Ken, and today we're going to talk about the differences between the Generation 1 and the Generation 2 tailpieces that I have made. As you guys know, that I've made the Generation 1 back 3 years ago from my cello, the Goffriller cello that I bought, which is slightly a little bit smaller at 735 millimeter. Right behind me over there, that guy, little guy. So when I made the tailpiece, I made it 225 millimeter, just making sure that it is not too long for the cello, because when you have a tailpiece that is too long, it actually stops the vibration quite a bit. So the major differences between the Generation 1 and Generation 2 is the overall length. As you can see, this one is almost at 255 millimeters, and it's more of a hill style. So there's a ridge down the middle. So anyway, so for longer cellos like this one, this is my other Goffriller, that is at 767, I believe. Yeah, it's really a long cello. So I am actually going to be swapping this one out to a longer Generation 2 and see what it sounds like. Before we do that, we're going to see what it sounds like first, okay? I really like the way that the cello is sounding right now. It's very responsive. I had an old clunky tailpiece on this thing for the longest time, and the cello never sounded as clean and as powerful as it is now. At the same time, retaining the sweet sound that the natural cello have. What I love about this tailpiece is that it takes a giant cello like this. This is really big, you know, compared to the other Goffriller. It is really wide, it is really long, and usually these type of cello really has a slower response. It has a dark sound, slow response. It sounds groggy at some time. But what I love about the tailpiece is that it responds to the vibration, the leftover vibration, what I call it, back into the cello so much more quicker. Therefore, it makes the cello run faster. It's like running with a pair of sneakers. So now a lot of people ask me, it's like, why don't you just put the tailpiece lower? So aesthetically, remember, aesthetically is not the right way to get the cello to sound in the best shape it is sound. I always tell people that the after length of the C string is the most important part of how you set up the tailpiece. And the reason is because the C string has the biggest vibration. It's the biggest string, it's the thickest string. And if you're able to, and also, people always tell me the D string on the cello is always the weakest string. And we all know that. The D string is the weakest string of the cello. And by tuning the after length, which is between the distance of the bridge and the tailpiece, to an F sharp, for me, it really enhances the D string quite a bit. And the reason is because the D string, our natural D string harmonic, it is actually the F sharp. So if you actually tune the F sharp to the C string to an F sharp, you're actually enhancing the overall overtone of the D string. And it actually makes the overall cello much more balanced. A lot of people say, no, you gotta tune it to the G because it's matching across a string. Yes, to some cellos, especially smaller ones, it works really well. You know, if you want to have a faster response, yeah, tune it to the G. But it's going to choke the sound a little bit more than an F sharp, because the F sharp is going to give you that body, that thickness, and also that bass that you would want on your cello. But at the same time, I always tell people, experiment with that, F sharp or G. I wouldn't go too far lower than F sharp, is because the lower that you go, meaning that the longer the after length, here is going to make your cello a little bit more sluggish. You know, if you're not an aggressive player, if you're not a fast player, it's okay. You could get away with it. You're going to have plenty of bass, you know, so setting up the cello is really not by how it looks. You know, on fitting the tailpiece onto the cello. Just basically put it on, and you're done. Usually, I spend about an hour and a half just to try to get the after length correctly. So with this tailpiece, this Generation 2 tailpiece, if I were to place it in the same area as where it is and still maintaining an F sharp, I think it'll look a little bit closer to the saddle. Now, if look is what you're looking for, maybe this is for you. But at the same time, I love the way that the cello is sounding right now, and I'm curious to see what this thing will sound like if I put on, this particular tailpiece on the cello. So, but I'm actually going to take a couple of days to do that, because I'm actually going to put it on now, and then let it stretch a little bit. The tail cord is Technora. It will stretch over a couple of days, and I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it, exercise it a little bit, so that we could actually get an equal comparison, because once you put the tailpiece on, day one, right away, you're going to get this cloud of echoes and things like that. Is because you take the top tension of the top off the cello and put it back on, therefore it's not going to react the way that you would, a week later or a few days later. So I will put the tailpiece on, and we'll wait a couple of days before we test it with different with a different take. Okay? Thank you very much. Okay, it's actually, now we're actually into December. Actually, this is a few weeks, almost a month now after we have installed this Generation 2 carbon fiber tailpiece. And I have to say, I am impressed, and I am loving the sound of this cello. This cello never sounded as strong and never sounded as powerful as it is now. I mean, I've used this cello for over 20-something years now, since 1996, and I made several recordings of it, and I really was never satisfied with how big and how strong that it can sound, although it's a huge cello, but it's actually quite narrow. So anyway, let's see what it sounds like after a month, and there you go. This is it. Over here, but now it's actually manageable. Wow. Okay, so anyway, now you can actually hear the difference between Generation 1 and Generation 2. I'm not sure what you think about it, but For me, I just love the clarity and also the instant response of the instrument, much better than what I had before. Like I said, you know, I played this cello for over 20 some years now, and finally I found something that is suitable for this instrument. So I urge you to give it a try. Let me know if you wanted to try it out. And again, as always, thank you very much for watching.